and welcome to another episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Well, hello, broads. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Honestly, considering I'm feeling #blessed.
Oh my God, we love to hear that. I know like the kid has been sick. Gray's not feeling good. Are you had a migraine? I mean,
yeah, I was powering through the migraine last night watching this episode, and it actually made it way better. Sometimes with a migraine, even though the light is going to give you a even worse headache, you need a little distraction
sometimes you need a little drama
to distract yourself from your own misery and look at other people's misery, which is
a lot of what this episode was.
Yes. Other people's misery.
To be completely honest. Well, we are
true in all forms.
No, for
in
real.
All forms, it was just
oh my God, this episode, I mean, talk about a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I was in drama mode. I was fully crying. I know actually last night the bros watched the episode together, and afterwards I talked to them and they were like, we were fully crying through the Michael part. And I'm yeah, join all of us.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely bawling. Yeah, it was intense. So I say we just hop into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Were
ahead.
we supposed to talk about Rachel Lindsay's article?
We have to talk about Rachel Lindsay's article.
What's really interesting is I loved, even though it was kind of off topic, I loved her talking about her experience. And I actually felt really seen in her description of her experience on the show.
You know, what was interesting is when I was reading through a part of it, I was like, oh my God, this is a lot of the things that you have discussed with like me and you talk about on the show, but also just discuss with me privately.
Yeah.
No, the article, if you all haven't read it, is so good, like for so many different reasons. It's super interesting. It touches on a lot of the production behind the scenes. It talks about like the racism in the franchise. It talks about the Chris Harrison situation. It talks about, I mean, she really, it was like the whole story of her entire time from when she decided or when her friends suggested she audition all the way through to when she was the Bachelorette to post to the fact that she talks about how production didn't show the love story between her and Brian and they focused on Peter. And I mean, it was...
Yeah, she talks about also how it seems like she was pretty much poised to be the Bachelorette from the minute in casting and how there was a lot of deliberate choices that were made, like in her edit.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really powerful article, so I would highly suggest everyone go read that and support Rachel Lindsay.
Yeah, it's a fun read too.
It's a great read. And also, I don't know if you saw the initial situation of what happened.
So Rachel posted on her Instagram basically being like, that cover did not represent me, or represent my take, and quite the opposite. And I was super confused because then I was Googling it and all that was coming up was the title of the article. Yes. And I was like, what? I was so lost. Like Rachel, the title on the internet says like Rachel Lindsay has like enough or doesn't have any more roses to burn or something like that. I was
a little bit, I was like, yeah, I feel like it's a little, but I was confused about why then Rachel Lindsay addressed and posted. So basically Rachel Lindsay went on her Instagram and said that she worked with the New Yorker magazine super closely and was given the cover feature and wrote the whole article. And then she felt like the title that they gave was super disappointing and disrespectful and clickbaity and gross and whatever. And I was the same thing. I was like, what's going on? Sorry, I had to make sure that Boris wasn't interrupting our Rachel Lindsay talk. No, so the original title,
so it's the actual cover.
The cover of the magazine has a beautiful photo of Rachel Lindsay and says, yes.
Oops, I blew up The Bachelor.
And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, and the reason I feel like for people who aren't like in the Bachelor controversy world would probably be like, I don't get why that's such a big thing. But of course, the reason it's such a big thing is because everyone's been sort of like placing this blame on her about Chris Harrison getting removed from the franchise. And it's like, oh my gosh, like as if as if it's her fault that there was all this controversy when in reality she was just like being like, hey, isn't this an issue?
Yes. And even the fact that in the article, she discusses how how even her conversation with Chris Harrison was not encouraged like by the franchise, and like Chris Harrison like asked to come on and like on his own accord basically like did this, needed to basically get all this off his chest.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think somebody that's not involved in the world was like, this is a good title.
Yeah, I think this is a great
Everyone's
idea,
like, let's do
right?
it.
And it's like, great. Like, no, and so the fact that like Rachel received so much, like in like the most intense amount of hate and threats and all of that after her interview with Chris Harrison, that she had to remove herself off of social media for a while. And then they come out with this title, was just like, you've got to be kidding me. So
Yeah.
apparently now the New Yorker is like, I don't know if they're reprinting.
Not the New Yorker, just, oh yeah. Is it the New Yorker? New York magazine.
New York. Oh, I think I kept saying New Yorker. It's not the New Yorker. Excuse me. It's the New York magazine.
Magazine people are like, that is
They're
not
like,
the same.
no, it's wrong. No, I don't know. I'm like, are they reprinting the cover? Is this something that like has hard copies? Because I know then they retracted it basically and put the title of the article as the cover of the magazine. So at least there's that, but it's like, I don't know if, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that shit happens.
It's just unfortunate to me, and it's always very confusing in like the world of journalism. So maybe someone can like let me know. Whenever there is like a big feature on someone, specifically when it is a sensitive topic that's being discussed, and the person herself wrote the article, like wrote the piece, that you'd think that they'd have to give her approval on, or at least shoot the cover of the title cover of the article or the magazine by her.
I think that's like the only place that journalism where they have like creative license.
So like we can make the title look whatever we want it to
because I feel like
be.
I've seen this kind of controversy before where the person's like, whoa, but
Anywho, check it out if you haven't. Support Rachel Lindsay. Love her so much. And hopefully the hard copies are getting changed too, if there are hard copies. I
Doubt it.
apologize. I don't know about the magazine world very much. But anywho, that's that. Check out that article. Other than that, the only other news was that Chris Harrison, we have found out, speaking of the man himself, that his payout was actually more like 9-10 million. People were throwing around the $50 million number.
that happens a lot too. I feel like where it's like,
It's always either way above or way below.
Totally.
It's like when you look up celebrities' net worth and it'd be like, oh, Brad Pitt is worth $10 million. And you're like,
you look me up, it's like $100 million.
yeah, and you're like, what? Like, I know for a fact Brad Pitt is worth a lot of dough, and it's always like under. But I mean, $9-10 million is still wild. And what also we found
I'm really glad
out,
it's not 50 million. That is stupid money.
I mean, the 10 million still makes me feel sick to my
although
stomach.
with his lifestyle, it's probably going to be gone in 2 years. Think about it
He's
that way,
gonna
you
blow
know?
through that
Think about it that
change.
way.
That's very true. Yeah, it still makes me feel ill. But the 50 mil was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah,
that was like I can't sleep at night. I'm rolling around thinking about him literally like Scrooge McDuck diving into his gold coins.
Isn't that like that's like 5% of a billionaire? No, 10% of. Oh, can't do math.
Don't understand.
100 million is 10% of a billionaire. Yeah, 5%.
That's wild.
5%.
5%.
Cross reference. Anyway,
Mr. Chris Harrison, we ended up finding out specifically that was basically just 2 years worth of his salary. So we then found out
That
what
makes
his
sense.
salary was is $5 million a year, which
that's not. I honestly like somehow expected it to be more.
I feel like The Bachelor is so cheap that
That's true.
I was expecting that he was
That's
making
so much.
a lot of his money from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or whatever. I'm like, $5 million.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that that's not a lot. I just I was expected to just be utterly repulsed and disgusted. I thought he was making like $10 million a year. I think it is the only thing that they spend
Is
for
just
the
Chris
show.
Harrison.
Is
They're
literally.
saving so much money now.
Straight up, we should be seeing them going to some
Seriously,
fancy places.
Come
now
on,
that
it's time to step up your dates, Bachelor
I
franchise.
can't imagine that Tayshia or Caitlyn are getting that any
there's
portion
no
of
way.
that salary.
I wonder how much. I'd be so curious to find out.
Do you think it's like more than 100,000? Probably less.
I bet it's 100K
Each?
yeah. That would be my guess.
Chump change after Chris is Chris gone.
Yeah, $5 million. Well, I guess that's for the whole year, and that would be like a couple seasons. So
Okay.
for him, it's maybe like 1.5 per season. For him to come in and be like, this
For
is
him
the
to be in
final
his
rose.
trailer,
For
like
him to be in
half
his
the time.
trailer.
What a gig.
Golfing 95%
I'd be kicking
of
and
the
screaming
time.
on my way out too. You better believe.
You're just like, what did
You better believe I'd be throwing those lawsuit.
That's one of those jobs
things
that you're
around.
like, when you're in it, you're like, God, it's so taxing. And then all of a sudden it goes away and you're like, oh my God, a real job? I have to try to find a real job? Madness.
He's probably got crazy investment portfolios.
I expect to see him running for
How old is he?
some sort of
Office.
office.
Did you know he's almost 17 years older than Lauren Zima?
Oh, for real?
I didn't know she was 33.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could be dating Chris Harrison.
You could. And I don't think she looks old. I don't mean it like that. Like just something about like her poise. I don't know why. I thought she was a bit older.
No, I did too. I definitely did too.
She doesn't have a wrinkle on her damn face. Do not get me wrong.
No, it was just more of an energy thing.
Totally.
It's an older energy.
Totally.
For sure. Yeah, like, can you imagine seeing me dating Chris Harrison?
Yeah, no, she's 33. And
I'd be
he's
like,
50.
get a tat, daddy. Let's do a neck tattoo, daddy.
Yeah, he's 50. Almost 50. Wow, old, ancient. Anyway.
Oh, I'm slowly climbing that mountain.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
Aren't we literally all?
All right. So before we get into this episode that just has so many moving parts, should we take a quick little pause?
Yeah.
Quick little pause. Broads. I am a planner, 100%. My life has a lot of to-do lists. I like a schedule. I like a timeline. I just function better that way. And listen, when it comes to planning and preparing, there's no area more important than planning your future, specifically how kids do or do not factor into it. The best way to make sure you have all the information you need to plan your future is with Modern Fertility's home fertility hormone test.
That's right. Modern Fertility is a super simple way to keep tabs on your reproductive health. The test is super simple. It's done by you in your own home. You just prick your finger to complete the test. When you're done, you mail it back with the prepaid label. So that whole process takes like less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Within just 10 days, you're going to receive your personalized test results that dive into everything you need. You're going to get insight into your hormone levels, how many eggs you have, and other important fertility factors. And you'll even have the option to talk one-on-one with a fertility nurse and discuss your next steps if you want to. And I've heard from people that they will take these results to their doctor and the doctor will back them up. And like this is like a very legit way to check out what your fertility situation is.
Oh yeah, and it gets better, broads, because with Modern Fertility, you'll get access to all of this information for a fraction of what you would typically pay. These exact same tests at doctor's office can cost over $1,000. Modern Fertility is making access to your reproductive information easier and more affordable than ever before.
And right now, Modern Fertility is offering our listeners $20 off the test when you go to modernfertility.com/chatty. So that means your test will cost $139 instead of the several hundred or even $1,000+ it could cost at a doctor's office. So get $20 off your fertility test when you go to modernfertility.com/chatty. That's modernfertility.com/chatty.
So I've talked a lot on the show about some of my hair insecurities. So making sure my hair gets treated with the top quality stuff is actually really important to me. I've always struggled to find the right hair fit for me until I discovered Function of Beauty.
Function of Beauty is the world leader in fully customized hair care just for you. Before ordering your personalized hair care, you're going to take a quick online quiz, and based on your results, the Function of Beauty team will craft products that are super unique to you, your hair, and your hair goals. Every product is sulfate-free, paraben-free, vegan, cruelty-free, And of course, they smell amazing. And it's so customized. You can also choose unscented if that's more your speed.
I switch my favorite scent pretty much every month, but right now I'm loving their tropical mango scent because it brings me right into the summer. Okay, every time I catch a whiff, it's amazing. But be sure to check out their other scents too, like sweet peach, crisp pear, lavender rose, eucalyptus. Trust me, no matter what you pick, you're going to love it. And like Becca said, it's fully customizable. For the first time and as long as I can remember, I found what I was personally hoping for in a hair product. Something that for me, again, personally gives me volume, but also leaves it soft and shiny. A lot of times beforehand, I would find a shampoo or conditioner that would give me volume, but then my hair would be kind of hard and I didn't like the texture. And now I can get it all with Function of Beauty.
Go to functionofbeauty.com/broads to take your quiz and save 20% on your first order. That applies to their full range of customized hair, skin, and body products. That's functionofbeauty.com/broads to let them know you heard about it here and to get 20% off your first order. That's functionofbeauty.com/broads.
All right, let's get into this.
Okay.
Okay, so we start this episode off.
It starts out really fucking hot. They are laying into Karl.
We come out like it's like a bat out of hell this episode. I also want to have a quick shout out. I am still really loving this season. I've enjoyed every episode so far.
Episode 3 is always a little bit of a dip off for me, but this one did keep it coming.
I feel like, and I don't know, and Katie had even said that it's like that this season is
all
like
gas, no brakes.
Well, no, she was saying it's you slowly creep up and then boom, something happens. And I'm like, I don't feel like this is a slow creep up. If something is going to explode, I feel like this is already pretty intense.
That's true. That's true.
So, I mean, I'm like, unless she's setting us up that it's going to start, actually slowing down. And I'm going, where is it? But yeah, it gets intense right away. And these men are absolutely coming for Karl. And yeah, Karl, like when he's thinking, he keeps doing this. He rubs his finger and his thumb and his index finger together, and he's just like a president.
And Karl just can't come up with a damn name. I mean, you'd think at this point, if you're just gonna pull shit out of your ass, you might as well pull more out of your ass, and might as well just be like Michael B. doesn't really have a kid. You might as well just go all the way for it. And
just start making up names. Just say some guy that's not there.
Trent,
Jason,
Trent.
And they're like, who the fuck? Figure it out, guys.
I mean, there's definitely a couple guys there that went home in the rose ceremony that I've never seen in my life. So their names could very well be Trent and Jason.
Completely unrecognizable.
We don't.
Absolutely
we don't
not
know.
Sure.
Now, Greg takes her aside, which really, really bugged me.
Well, of course. I was just like, you guys, someone else take the opportunity to do this, have this moment. And of course it was going to be Greg. And of course it cemented in her feeling safe with Greg because he was the one who came and
he should have come to us as men.
Yes.
You.
Now, an interesting thing, and maybe this is me just being,
reading in,
but I did find it interesting. And again, it could have been a production thing where they edited this. But I will say, in Aaron and Katie's original conversation, when she said, what's going on, Karl said that there's some guy that's a sketchball or numerous guys that are sketchy. Aaron right away was like, there is no one else here like that. He was very definitive. He's like, they all seem like amazing guys. I don't know what he's talking about. And with Greg and Katie, he was making her feel good.
But he didn't say anything specific.
But she then said, she basically said, other than you, I'm not sure about any other men in the room. And he didn't say anything. So he didn't defend the guys like Aaron defended the guys. But again, could have been cut out. But I did find that interesting that he did come and support her. But Aaron was and I feel like that's just Aaron's energy. Aaron is not, I don't feel like Aaron has deep feelings for Katie. I think that he's just really enjoying his time, hanging out with everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, Trey was heated. Karl was punching the air.
I mean, the man was shadowboxing by himself. I
feel bad. It's like someone told him that's what you're supposed to do, when you're, it's like when you're in a corner, there's no other choice but to hit back. Some kind of motivational quote,
I saw so many people posting after this whole thing then with Thomas came out that they're like, Karl was right all along. Karl knew all along.
Karl knew.
I just would like to make a personal statement that I do not believe Karl had anyone in mind. Because guess what? If Karl had anyone in mind, Karl would have
Would've
said
said
their
it.
name. You don't think that in ITMs he would have been like, let me tell you about Thomas. Now, I'm not going to say anything to Katie. I might give her the first letter. He's like, I'm not going to say it is, but it starts with a T.
Warmer.
Uh-huh. There's 2 guys with T names. He's just like, no, not that one. But I'm not going to say it. I'm like, of course he didn't know. He would have said something.
No, and you
just
can't even say his
hoping.
intuition because he didn't even say that either. He was just like, when he got pressed, he was just like,
He was just really hoping someone was not there for the right reasons.
Well, when we get into the rose ceremony, this says a lot that Mike was chosen as the ambassador.
It does say a lot. Becca, when these men formed a union.
This was smart. This is one of the smartest plays I've seen in a while.
This was a smart play. I am really alive for a lot of these men. I am a fan of a lot of these men. The fact that they did not let it divide them, but instead that they came together as a united front against Karl and got rid of him. It was impressive.
Yeah.
It was a move.
Yeah, it was definitely a move. And to put someone like Mike, who she already trusts, who it seems like all the guys trust.
Put the innocent man in front of her. The man with the
pure,
the pure
righteous.
It was like something out of like a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe thing. Mike, the pure of heart, put him in front of the queen. She cannot resist.
Or like the Scarlet Letter or something. Who here is sinless? Who here?
Who cannot throw the first stone? Mike.
Who has never thrust their penis into anyone? It is Mike.
Michael.
The blameless.
Can we please start calling him Mike the Blameless?
Mike the Blameless.
It was incredible though. It made me think. I go, we have some watchers of the show on
We have
this
some
season.
strategists here too.
We have some fans of The Bachelor.
But we've also got someone who's a forward thinker, thinking out of the box.
I have this feeling
Tell
that
me.
Andrew, not Andrew S., our British accent king, but instead Andrew M., our Newport lawyer. I noticed them show him a
Interesting.
couple times, like saying communication is key, and then he's like kind of like talking to the guys. I have this feeling that Andrew M. behind the scenes is kind of like
Orchestrating everything.
orchestrating the DA.
I love that theory.
He's the assistant DA. The man knows about strategy.
Really living for that theory.
Andrew M might not go far because she does not know who he is,
Yes.
but he is here for the strategy of the house. He's here for the house, and we love it.
So, and then of course she asks if everyone feels the same way. Everyone just like silently, grimly nodding. They're like, thumbs down. Finish him.
No. Also, Mike said when he was third to get called up, he said that they have come together as a unit in solidarity, and I fell out of my chair laughing. That is Andrew M. giving him a full lawyer speech beforehand. Some of these words that sometimes we don't use.
Mike was just like reciting, looking at the back of his hand in the mirror over and over. Unit of solitaire. Unit of.
They didn't think about the fact
Unit
that it
of
would be easier if
solidarity.
he put it on the inside of his palm and like kind of talk to her like this. They put it so he's doing this. He's just like, Katie.
Oh man.
It was incredible. So yeah, she then walks out of the rose ceremony.
Okay. So when Caitlin and Tayshia told her that they were like, we stand behind you, I thought, regardless of your decision, and I was like, oh, so this means that producers are telling her to keep Karl. And Tayshia and Caitlin are like, as ambassadors of production, we stand behind you if you want to keep Karl. That was the vibe that I got.
I wrote in my notes right before she walked out, I'm like, this is when we need Tayshia and Caitlin. If I was Katie, I'd be running. I'd be so excited it was Tayshia and Caitlin, not Chris Harrison, because I'd be like, they've gone through this. I need your guys' actual opinions. And then when they were like, well, the good thing about it is it's your decision, not theirs. And I'd be like,
What kind of production bullshit is this?
Give me an answer.
Got the mics.
Should I leave him here or get rid of him for the love of God, please?
So that was interesting because that gave me the impression that she was going to keep him around. And then she went in and she axed that man.
I mean,
So I was shocked.
Katie is a woman who knows how she feels and who makes decisions immediately. I mean, we're seeing her cutting guys. She is choosing men that we would not. I mean, her first three is the first guy that she gave a rose to was David, who has been super quiet, and I forgot about David, who is, by the way, so attractive. I keep forgetting about him. And then Hunter, and then Connor C, who we've never seen before. Like the first guy she's choosing. I mean, Katie, and then she cuts Karl, the drama starter. She's doing her own thing.
I wonder if that's what they mean by like like she was difficult for production. If that was if that rumor is indeed true, and that's probably the kind of shit that they're saying though. It's difficult. Like they're like keep Karl around, and she's like no.
Yeah, she's like she was quote unquote difficult for production because she's actually trying to find somebody.
Yeah, and who knows? I feel like they say that about like every year the past 3 years.
But remember, they said the filming was shorter than usual because she figured out what she wanted. She like did it quick. She did a speed round through the Bachelorette.
Okay.
So anywho, ultimately she sends Karl home. She sends Garrett home. We never got to know the Garrett because we know Katie. We know Katie is not here for Garrett, so I'm not surprised that was gone quick. I think the guy's name was Tyler, and then
I didn't recognize
sweet John.
Aww.
John. I hope we see John in paradise. Did you notice that the men clapped when he walked out?
No, I did not catch
They gave him like they were already standing, like basically a standing ovation.
Good guy.
No,
John.
it was just like he walked out, everyone smiling, and they're like, John, we respect you. Now on the flip side, this part in the episode was the part that I will never forget. It is seared into my brain for all eternity. When Karl was walking out, did you see what happened?
No.
Okay. After we're done recording this, I'm going to make you go watch this because it's the wildest thing. So Karl's name does not get called. All the guys are hugging and saying goodbye to each other. So Karl walks away from them up to Katie, maybe about 2 feet from Katie, makes eye contact with her, then turns his back on Katie with his hands in his pockets and kind of like stands there and keeps kind of looking back at her. Like, are you going to say goodbye to me? 2 feet away from her. And then he slowly just starts to walk out the door. And as he's walking out the door, he keeps looking at Katie. And they're looking at each other. And he's just like, Karl would not say goodbye to her. He was making her say goodbye to him. And he was waiting, standing there waiting for her to say goodbye. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen with an exit. No acknowledgement, no goodbye. And he was begging, standing in front of her like this.
With his back to her?
So basically, if I'm Karl and the wall is Katie, he walked up, looked at her, and then stood like this with his hands in his pockets, literally 2 feet away from her like this. Shifting on his feet. And then she didn't walk forward and say anything to him because it's like, dude, walk one more foot closer to me. You're leaving. And then he eventually kind of was like, and to start to walk away. And then was like, and pause. And then kept walking a little further and pause.
What on earth?
I couldn't believe what I was watching.
What
it was
on
just
earth?
like, dude, just say bye. Like, she didn't say anything mean about you. Or if you're not going to say bye, just like walk out. But it was so uncomfortable. And honestly, it was extremely embarrassing.
Wow.
It was wild.
Weird. Not surprised.
And I feel like it happened really quick because I thought I was going to be seeing 1 million memes about it. And I didn't see any. And I'm like,
I didn't catch it.
Everybody needed to go back and watch it. It's wild. It's actual madness.
Wow.
It's so Karl. It's just like, he couldn't have had a more Karl exit.
Wow. Shocking.
Anywho.
Okay, so for the group date, Nick's coming in to, and what better date for Nick to come into than to force everyone to open up, and he himself never shared anything vulnerable. He just sat around as literally everyone else in the room shared their deepest, darkest
I was really hoping that Nick was gonna say something. I was dying. This basically what they walked into was an Ask Nick episode. This was a Viall Files Ask Nick episode.
I bet he was literally shaking, not being able to give advice to anyone.
Oh, I know. You know, Nick, afterwards, Nick was just like, he's seeing Thomas being like a goddamn mess. And, Nick was just like, guys, the producer's like, guys, just let me, just a 5 minutes. Because we talk about it a lot. Nick picks up on, he tends to have quite a good radar himself and on like shady characters.
And when we mean quite a good radar, we mean that Nick pretty much agrees with us on all of our opinions.
But there's been times where we don't agree with him and then he's right about somebody. And I actually am very interested to ask him what his thoughts were when meeting the guy. But
well, he went in straight for Hunter.
Dude, I laughed so hard when they were in that circle and it looked like they were about to like, I don't know if it looked like an AA meeting or like it reminded me kind of like some church youth group dynamic where everyone's super uncomfortable and they have to share their testimony and I'm like quaking because I'm like, my testimony's boring.
It's not good enough.
And when he had the dead silence and then he just turns, hey Hunter, how you doing?
And poor Hunter. Okay, wait, so Hunter's a dad too?
Hunter is a father.
To two, not one, but two. But he's never mentioned the kids that we've seen.
I don't think that we've seen. And I
loved his the most.
Becca, I love Hunter so much.
We must protect him.
We must protect Hunter. And I wasn't seeing any memes about protecting Hunter last night. Where are the memes about protecting Hunter? I'm going to protect Hunter. And I also want to say that I feel pretty validated in our initial opinions about who we thought Hunter might be. Okay.
I have no idea what we said about him.
He was like, we thought maybe he was a bartender and he was like always talking with everybody. He was everybody's friend and he just was kind of that dynamic. I feel like later on in the episode, we see that part of who Hunter is.
Definitely. Caring guy. He's just, I loved his vulnerability.
I treasure this man. And okay, why was it your favorite?
Well, I mean, he just basically, and I bet this was low-key like healing for his ex-wife because he was just straight up like, I blew it. Like I was such a shitty partner and like a shitty dad and I didn't have my priorities straight. And what I loved too is he was basically like what I was reading between the lines where he's like, I would go back and, like change anything I could. And I'm going to make sure I never do this again. And I believed him. So I was like, dude, I'm trusting this man out of everyone here to know what it takes to be a devoted dad and a devoted partner. And he's made all those mistakes already. So you better believe it seems like round 2, he is all in.
Completely agree. When he specifically the moment where he said, oh, when we started crying, I was like, oh, I felt it right in my gut. When he said that after she was pregnant with their second one, and he started to use work as a justification, and he would say, I'm doing it to support the family, but it was for himself. And basically was just upfront about the fact that like, I used work as an excuse to be selfish and do what I wanted to do. That is so fucking real. Like that's the real shit. That's not this like, obviously some people have some extremely tragic stories, but that felt just so like if I'd hear that from somebody who I was going on a date with, I'd be like, wow, the fact that you're not making any excuses, that you weren't like, oh, when we just kind of grew apart and she didn't the fact that you were like, no, I used work as a justification to do what I wanted to do and I regret that.
Well, and that's
highly.
the thing. That says so much more about someone's character than like a tragedy, even though that can shape someone. I'm not saying it's like better or anything, but to me that just says a little bit more about you as a person because you're admitting to one of your biggest faults in your life.
And in the fact that he talked about, he's like, this is the person who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with and she's amazing. And so you have also someone who's experienced great loss.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there going like, man, that's a great example to his kids. His kids sitting there being like, my dad made a mistake, but like my dad's willing to take ownership of the mistakes again, instead of just making excuses and trying to put it on his mom. The fact that he's supporting their mother and saying that he was the one who did it. I mean, what a beautiful example to your children.
Well, and also he didn't even do that whole bullshit of being like, well, it's better for everyone. Like everyone's happier now. He was like, I fucked things up in my marriage and I fucked things up for my kids by like splitting their parents apart. Like,
I
good guy Hunter.
I love Hunter so much. And I continue to love Hunter more and more as the episode continues.
Me too.
I am such a huge fan.
Yeah, I had some sleeper favorites this episode.
Me
Hunter,
too.
and then also I really like Aaron. And I was so shocked by that. I was like, I like him a lot.
Last week I was like, I think I love Aaron. And you know,
I like him.
And there's something where you're like, I feel like I shouldn't, because I feel like you guys are trying to create a person that I shouldn't like. I feel like production is trying to make him kind of be a villain.
No, I see him
I'm like, no.
I kind of see him as this like honest kind of guy who's just kind of like, he's got nothing to hide.
Like, I feel like Hunter's the guy who like becomes like is in my group of friends, and when shit goes down, Hunter gets super riled up, and I'm psyched to hear about it from Hunter. Hunter comes in, he's like, can you fucking believe that person? I'm like, you tell us, Hunter. Or Hunter, excuse me, you tell us, Aaron. You tell us everything about this shit. Come on, man. Like, I'm so into it.
Now, on the other hand, though, then we have Thomas, who the guy, this is what I love. This is why I did like Aaron, is Aaron's just like immediately distrustful of Thomas.
Aaron and Trey and Justin, those three men cannot hide any of their emotions on their face.
Facial expressions were pretty funny.
And I live for the three of them, and just it's just anytime there's someone talking they don't like, it's just like and you're like, oh my God.
Men after my own heart.
I love it. It's just like there's no poker face at all. None. So yes, Thomas.
I mean, I liked that he admitted to being there for the wrong reasons, and I will say that in his defense later on when they're pressing him for that. I actually like that. Obviously, he is hiding something much darker and deeper. Don't know what it is.
It was funny. After the episode ended, I was talking with Ev about it, and I was like, it's funny because the bones of what's happening, I feel like Becca and I would respect.
Would be in Thomas's court, yeah.
Because we know that a lot of people are there for the platform.
Totally.
Let's be real.
And it takes a lot of balls to admit that, like week 3.
And it takes a lot of honesty to be like, listen, we say so many people are there because two things can be true. You can want to find love, and you also can go, well, worst case scenario, I get some followers from this, or I become the Bachelor or Bachelorette. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's this bullshit, like, and as all the guys call him out on later, it's the whole bullshit, just like, and there's no one I'd rather be here now than you. Like, I think that's where the shit is.
So yeah, the bones of what Thomas was saying, I was like, I appreciate the honesty, but the dude is so shady that you're like, I feel like this man is the type of guy who knows exactly what he's doing, where he gives you a little breadcrumb of truth to make you feel safe.
Well, there's a whole mountain of shit.
Exactly.
Well, we'll get to more about him, but next let's talk about Connor. Because I liked Connor's too. And I gotta say, I like Connor. Actually, we'll get to that in a minute on the evening portion of the date. But
yeah, Connor, I love who Connor is. And then when he is with Katie, make out Connor makes my body hurt.
He needs to stop. Like, he does this whole like thing with his chin. Fine, I'll just get into it. Yeah, the great thing about Connor is, one, he obviously took the assignment very seriously, and you can tell that he's the kind of person that pours his heart into like in his interactions with people and everyone. And I'm sure he's a really, really great teacher, because you can just tell that he gives his all into every situation, even these group dates.
He's also a spin class instructor, and he kills that too.
Oh my God. I can't with Connor, but I also like love him. I'm just like, oh my God, this guy, I can't. He's the one you invite him to your potluck, of course. And he's like, I decided to make like a 7-layer chili dip. And you're like, oh, Connor, I already got guac and salsa for the chips. And he's just like, he's like, but this is my mom's recipe for her 7-layer bean dip. Maybe you could say that, babe. He's like telling me, his friend, whatever. He's like, just save the guac and salsa. You can make tacos for the kids tomorrow. And
you're like, no,
I got 7-layer beef.
And you're like, no, it's okay. You could just take that back. Like you can like have that throughout the week, whatever. Yeah. And he's just, but I worked on this for 6 hours. I've been prepping for
1
a while.
hour per layer.
I already took a photo of it and posted it on Instagram and said my friends are going to absolutely love this.
Made with love. Hashtag made with love. That's so Connor. That's why I just can't with Connor, but I also love who he is.
Yeah.
So he took it so seriously. He admitted to having substance abuse issues, admitted to cheating, admitted to basically being a huge dick. And we love that, you know?
He took us through his whole journey, man. Like I'll be completely real with you. When this first started, I was feeling very nervous about what was going to happen. I was like, oh my God, what is he about to say? When he was talking about like getting angry or with his girlfriend, I was like, oh my God, I was feeling like really, really stressed. But no, I really appreciate, again, it's the same thing as Hunter. I so appreciate the fact that Connor was forthcoming about the fact that he's cheated. Like you said, also the substance abuse issues. There was no excuse made. And especially when you're like a grown ass person really wanting to be in a relationship. Like, it's one thing when I'm 20 and I hear about somebody and it's like, oh gosh, like, but when you're like, I'm an adult, we've all made mistakes. The fact that you are so straightforward, what I know is that now you and I can start a relationship. And if you're acting a little off, I can literally in a safe way bring up like, should I be concerned? Like, is everything okay? Mm-hmm. Like, are we good? Like, let's talk. And I know, because you've been open with me already, that we can have these conversations.
Yeah, it's a really good foundation for the relationship. I also liked that, which we're going to get to this in a minute, but I really liked how he was one of the few guys who immediately addressed what Katie shared about her sexual assault experience. And he was just like, he wasn't afraid to go there. And I always love that, because he was just like, I'm really sorry you experienced that. Thank you so much for sharing. And so he like wasn't afraid to, and so I always like when someone's like that. And, but he's got to stop going in for the kiss like that.
The kiss, it's so intense. It needs, like, Connor.
He's one of those people that could really actually benefit from like a kissing lesson.
Yes.
He's someone who soaks up
knowledge.
Those
classes that like help you, like where you can practice. Listen, Connor, a kiss.
Less is more.
Is dynamic. It doesn't always have to be on 10. Come in at a 2.
Less is more. Let her lead.
For you, I'm going to say less is more. I feel like maybe your natural inclination is to go at 100. So just let her. It's so intense, and always the hair. And listen, I love someone grabbing my hair, but like, again, in a certain setting and not every single time immediately. It's like Michael. I don't know if you peeped this, but during Michael's date, sweet Michael was like starting with a very soft kiss, and then a few minutes in, he's got her up against that car and he's grabbing her butt.
I was shocked and in the best way about Michael. I noted the same thing. I noted the beginning of the kiss and I felt the same way, because one of my biggest tips, men, for kisses, this is just my personal tip. Some ladies might like something different, but I feel like you can't go wrong with this. Now, don't just make your lips still, but keep your head still. This is my tip for men. Keep your head still.
Yeah, don't be bobbing and weaving everywhere.
Or pushing forward. Please don't do that. Please. I'm so triggered even thinking about it. Keep your head still. Let your lips do the action. Maybe do your hands with the body, but keep your neck and chin and head still just for the first minute or so. Let her lead. Let her move, like let her physically move towards you. You can let your mouth move, but it's so many men are just too aggressive with pushing your face.
And also, for the love of God, you don't need to you don't need to give us tongue within the first 2 seconds, okay? And when you do, please, again, nauseous. When you do, have a soft tongue.
Oh my God.
Keep your tongue relaxed. Don't do this darty. Don't fucking shoot a snake at us with your tongue.
I don't know what it is, but I'm nauseous this morning, and you're literally like, the thought of this big slimy tongue just like bleh, and pushing the person pushing their face. Nothing makes me more nauseous.
I would rather personally, and then I don't want to leave you in your nauseous state, but I would much rather have a soft like loose tongue, then no. Then when
Getting cramp under
someone's
my chin.
when someone's tongue is like flexed and like darting in your mouth,
That's disgusting.
that is the worst. And there was a guy, and it will forever be it will forever make my heart hurt. In fact, you know what? Maybe what I'm going to do today is I'm going to find him on Instagram and I'm going to send him a message and reach out to be like, I just feel like I need to give you this tip because the hottest guy I've ever made out with in my life, like the hottest guy,
objectively, hands down. The second that we were having a moment and he was leaning in, there were fireworks going off in my brain, and I was like, I would like to thank my parents for giving birth to me. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would like to thank his parents for giving birth to him.
That I would be kissing a man that looks like that. It was the worst.
Now,
and it was the darty tongue.
Another tip,
He had nice lips, and it was that fucking, and I was trying to like maneuver it and be like, yo, like, come on, like work with me. I'm trying to like craft you. I'm trying to make you into like, I'm trying to form you like clay. Stop with the tongue.
My other two quick tips are with the tongue. And this is obviously the first minute or two, just for starters. You guys can get creative after. just start slow.
Yeah,
for the love.
Just chill.
Don't move your tongue past the threshold of the other person's lips. If you do want to enter in some tongue in the first minute or two, just a little like
just on the
slip,
edge,
a little brush,
just maybe a smidgy bit past your own teeth.
Lick
That's
the
all.
other person's like just gently, like, this sounds disgusting as I'm describing it. Maybe like gently brush the other person's lip with your tongue.
Yeah, even just.
But don't insert it into their mouth. No need.
No need. We don't need that. We really don't.
Like, your tongue should not go farther than like this in the first minute.
I don't know. Unless the makeout session is getting like,
unless she's initiating it, sloppy all over the place.
Sure. And for me personally, unless we're getting to a makeout session where it's like it's getting weird and we're about to do some weird shit, I don't need an excessive amount of tongue.
Of course,
I don't need about the jammed down my throat constantly. You know what I mean?
Lord. No, it's always about the vibe, and let her lead in a bit.
Yeah.
And then also you don't stiffen your lips either. You know, No, but
that's what I'm saying. The lips and the tongue, when the lips are stiff and the tongue is stiff, that's a problem. So when in doubt, just be loosey goosey.
You know what the problem is? It's all these fucking stupid. It's just like porn. It's rom-coms when people are getting pressed into the walls immediately 30 seconds once they're done with dinner. Leave that. That's a 1 in 10. Situation that happens.
Yeah.
But most of the time, just play it cool, man.
Be a Michael.
Be a Michael. You're going to...
you can ask beforehand, and then you softly get into it, and then you take it up a notch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be a Michael.
There's room to go. There's room for shit to get wilder. Just no need to start out there.
Exactly. Okay, should we take a quick pause?
Yes, let's do it.
To take a breath before we get into
word
some
from
more
our
topics.
sponsors.
Yes, a word from our sponsors indeed, to distract me and distract your nausea.
We need a palate cleanser.
Broads, let's talk about one of my least favorite subjects of all time.
Next to forceful tongues.
Horrific tongue kissing.
Oh, God.
Personal debt.
Oh, that also makes me nauseous.
Yeah, it just makes us nauseous, makes our skin crawl. If you've been a very young adult with a freshly activated credit card, like myself, there's a good chance that you can relate. No matter if the amount of debt you have is big or small, it's all relative anyway. Carrying over any amount of debt can be absolutely anxiety-inducing and honestly, just a seemingly hopeless situation at times. It's a lot easier to get into debt than it is to get out, and that's why Upstart wants to make things easier on you with a personal loan all online.
Upstart is the best, most effective way to help get rid of any kind of debt. They can take care of anything from paying off credit cards to consolidating high-interest debt, even funding personal expenses. And unlike other lenders that just use your credit score to determine your loan eligibility, Upstart looks at a lot of different factors, which means they can offer smarter rates to you using their trusted partners. All it takes is a 5-minute online rate check, and you're going to be able to see your rate upfront for loans from $1,000 to $50,000.
And you'll be able to access the funds super fast, like in as little as one business day after accepting your loan. Sometimes the need for funds comes out of nowhere, which is why knowing that Upstart is always just a few clicks away to help is so huge.
Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/chatty. That's upstart.com/chatty. And don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. And loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Just go to upstart.com/chatty.
So if you've been a Chatty Broads listener since the beginning, then you have for sure heard us talk about our next sponsor because they are an OG Chatty Broads supporter. And let me tell you, we love them. You know, I'm talking about FabFitFun, the best subscription box out there. And just when we thought FabFitFun couldn't get any better, they proved us wrong, because as of this season, FabFitFun is now the only 100% customizable subscription box. Holy smokes.
That means, right, you can customize every single item that's in your box.
Every single item.
The choice is yours. Here's the deal, though. You do have to be an annual member. So if you've been debating signing up, let me tell you why I love my box. First of all, the products are unbelievable. In each season's box, you get full size, that's right, full size, not sample size, wellness, beauty, and lifestyle products. And not only are they full sized, but the products include some of the most coveted items of the season that you won't find even in stores sometimes. I haven't done the math, but I'm pretty sure that most of the standalone products are worth more than what you pay for the entire box.
Seriously, it's true. I got my summer FabFitFun box just a few weeks ago, and I swear to you, every single product is amazing. Of course, I found a few new favorites like I always do, but trust me, the whole thing is perfect. I'm already counting down days until my fall box arrived, and I've been using all of these summer products from my FabFitFun box. I'm packing them into one of my bags that I got in my FabFitFun box to the beach. I'm living.
Love it. Order your summer box today. Sign up now. You can snag amazing products like the Society 6 outdoor blanket or the Supergoop Unseen sunscreen. Oh, I love that one. Get all of that when you customize. And don't forget to use coupon code CHATTY for $10 off your first box at www.fabfitfun.com. Plus, for a limited time only, annual members will receive an extra gift valued at $125 with their purchase while supplies last. That's coupon code CHATTY for $10 off your first box at www.fabfitfun.com.
All right, so let's talk about Katie. And just a heads up, we are going to be talking about sexual assault. So after all of the men share, Katie decides that she's going to share herself. And she opens up. She talks about how she hasn't talked to anybody about this. About her own sexual assault. She talks about how she felt like she was in denial about what happened. So she tried to form a relationship with this person because she didn't want to believe what happened. And then after that ended, that she didn't want to have sex for years and didn't want to talk about sex. And this is one of the reasons why I love Katie so much. We've obviously had this conversation on the show before, and every time it's so incredibly powerful that people are willing to be vulnerable, and it's like so that people at home watching don't feel alone, and it's so powerful. But with Katie, specifically what she was really vocal about was she was talking about consent. She was talking about not feeling responsible because she was drinking, talking about how someone shouldn't feel guilted into ever having sex or not wanting to talk about it. And I just felt like I was just like, the fact that she was willing to be that vulnerable, that was one of those conversations that, like, as I was watching it, I'm like, this has to make so many people feel so much less alone when they're watching it. And also such an important conversation for like younger people watching it, that consent was such a big part of the conversation and not feeling responsibility in all of this. And I was just so grateful that she was willing to have this conversation in front of everybody and share that. It was really intense.
Yeah, it was also kind of triggering for me too, because I was like, oh, I'm sure that there's like plenty of guys there, like not plenty, but I'm sure there's like more than one guy that are in that room that have like put women through that situation. And I was just like, this sucks.
Yeah. I mean, we can't assume that though.
No, I mean, like statistically, someone in that room
No, I
has
know.
done that. And
know.
like, that's where I'm just like, it's just shitty. And I wish that there had been more acknowledgement like from the men, and maybe we didn't see it because it was cut out. But like the only person we saw was Connor, who like even talked to her about it after, I believe. I may have that wrong, but like I would have liked to see more of the men chime in, because again, it's one of those things, and I fucking love Katie for talking about it, but it's one of those things where it's like,
It shouldn't be put on
Nick or anyone. Yeah, it's like, of course it's like her responsibility to have the last word on that, and like not even Nick or any of the other guys are gonna like chime in with like how, I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be kind of taking the floor away from her, which wouldn't be appropriate, but it's sort of like, yeah, I'd like to see more conversations from men on the show about how important it is like to have consent and to make sure that a situation is fully consensual and that the person isn't being coerced into the situation. And that's something we've like literally never seen on the show before.
No, absolutely. No, you're completely right. And I think too, what would have been also like just a topic that could have been a great opening for discussion with the men is specifically when she spoke about, you know, the fact that no one should have to feel any sort of guilt if they don't want to have sex.
Yeah.
And that's like such a huge fucking conversation that is not spoken about enough in our community. I mean,
that made me really feel like she was that was to me a proving point of like, oh, that is really sex positive.
That it like that's what like that's where I was like, oh my god, the fact that we have someone who, and then she's willing to share her journey where it's like, after the horrific trauma she went through, I didn't want to talk about it and I didn't want to have sex. And her journey has been that now she is at this specific point, but then she also made clear that if you're not and you don't want to, that's okay too. You know, it was just, I was very grateful that she was willing to share that. And I was also, not to give ABC any fucking credit, but I was happy that at least ABC did not make this clickbait on their commercials. Because I don't know if you remember when Kaylin.
Oh, I totally remember.
And how much of a clickbait. And it was so just atrocious that they would use Kaylin's trauma as clickbait on this show when she was having this really intense conversation. So I was happy at least that was, it seemed like we saw the full conversation that Katie had, and then it also wasn't used as clickbait, you know. Baby steps, I guess. But anywho, also another thing that I loved about Katie just off of it was that, and I'm going backwards a little bit, but I fucking love that Katie, after Hunter shared and after Connor shared, I feel like we would have seen a lot of bachelorettes all of a sudden be like, I'm feeling a little nervous because...
Oh, yeah.
You know, and everyone has their right to feel, of course.
Especially if you're someone that's been cheated on before.
Exactly.
You've been with someone with substance abuse issues, etc.
It's absolutely everyone's right and to feel exactly how you want to feel when someone shares that they've cheated before and all of this. But because they specifically had a date where it's like, share your deepest, darkest secrets, that she then actually truly was a safe place. It wasn't a trap. It was a safe place where she was like, share it with me. And then when Connor shared, she was like, I'm so grateful that he shared. And then when she had her conversation with him later, she was like, thank you so much for telling me everything.
Yeah, totally. And I felt the same way as her, where it's like, you trust these guys even more because they're willing to put it all out there.
Yeah.
And you trust that this is like one of their darkest times that you know about, and that's out of the way, unlike Thomas. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's lurking behind the scenes here. Now, this is the interesting thing, though. I'm not sure. We didn't see any of Justin's confession, which I thought was interesting. And did you notice that? Like, we didn't even see a clip.
We didn't see a single thing.
No, we didn't even see his mouth moving while she's doing her voiceover talking about the experience.
So do you think there's a bomb that's going to get dropped at some point? do you think they're hiding something from us and that he'll get far and that then there's going to be a bomb dropped and they're trying to like not let us see any of it? Or do you think he's like...
I think it was probably just a boring confession is my guess.
Okay.
Like it's just probably
because
like,
they didn't show
or not a boring one. I just have an idea that in comparison to the other guys, it might, where he's just like, and that's why I was sad when my parents got divorced or something.
Right. Well, because James the box guy too, that was the same thing. He started to talk. Now Courtney's, we heard one line where he was just like, yeah, I made that mistake and that broke trust with her. And you're like, wait, what happened? I'm like, I'd like to know. Yeah, and then David, it was like chose his career over love.
I just don't know who
Yeah.
Justin is. Like, and that's just a weird thing. I'm like, who is Justin? What's his deal? I really am not sure if I like him or not. Like, he always seems to have something to say about someone else, but I haven't seen him talk much about himself aside from being a painter, which of course is nothing.
I'm very
in terms of who he
interested
is.
to see Justin on a one-on-one. I'd like to see a one-on-one with Justin, actually get to know Justin, because obviously I find him very nice to see on my screen, but I feel the same way. I'm like, I don't know him at all yet.
Yeah, and I'm like kind of not sure about how I feel about like his vibe with Katie when they are like one-on-one. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I haven't been like, I'm just gonna say I haven't been super impressed by him.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence with Justin.
Like his reactions are funny, but I'm
Yeah.
just like he hasn't dazzled me.
I don't love him and I don't have a problem with him. I'm just a little bit like, I'm not sure. I do like watching his facial expressions.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about Thomas.
Let's talk about Thomas.
First of all, love how Katie pressed him.
Katie would not let this man. We love to see it.
So she pressed him from the group. You know, initially she kind of let off with that of like, you didn't really lead into anything. You said there's a lot of red flags. Can you let me know what those
She's
are?
like, quick question. You said you had a overwhelming amount of red flags about you. Can you share a few of those?
Now, I'm not sure about this conversation, but I will say in the later conversation when they're pressing him about whether or not he wanted to be the Bachelor, I feel like they are editing around making him look like he's talking around in circles a little bit more than he is.
Okay.
I believe he is, but I think that they're
exaggerating
I really
it.
noticed it with the guys at the end where his answers didn't even remotely match what they were asking about, but then like he did say yes about the Bachelor thing, and I'm like, I think that he might have answered that more early in the
so.
conversation. Like I think he might have said that answer of like, yes, I had considered it, but instead they're editing this in like, I'm so proud to be in a room with her. You know, I think they made him look a little bit more ridiculous.
Yeah.
In that later scene.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he did that here with Katie, but I love how then she was like, I feel like you're dodging the question.
And the man he's a dodgy one to the max. It was like, and then I love, she's like, well, he's like, you can ask me anything. And she's like, well, can you just tell me?
Totally.
Like,
oh my gosh.
This, like, just fucking tell me,
this
dude.
reeks of how
Karl and Thomas, same energy in that way, where it's like both of these men would not answer a question.
Well, this also reeks of like something my parents do where it, like my parents will drop like some bombshell about their past and I'll be like, what? And my mom would be like, well, we would have told you if you asked. I'm like, well, how did I know to ask what you were doing when you were blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. No,
How am I supposed to ask about something that I don't know what it is? What are you talking about? It's the same thing with Thomas.
So many shady parent moments coming to my brain. Yeah. What was I supposed to ask? I'm like, Katie,
I don't know what I don't know
Katie's
until
like,
I know.
You're the one who said there were tons of red flags about you, which is a wild thing to say, first of all. That feels very...
tons of red flags.
That's like something that you do. I mean, it's interesting because like I know when I'm nervous, I will make myself sound worse than I actually think I am. We've talked about this with Gray too. Like you try to make yourself sound almost worse. And I feel like I'm like, Thomas, there might be a part of Thomas that is doing that too, where like, he's like, there's tons of red flags. And afterwards it was like, fuck, why did I say that? Maybe I have like one or two.
Well, so then
he's got millions.
No, because then you see after when he's in his ITM and he's like, which by the way stands for in the moments, in case people don't know what ITM stands for, in the moment interviews. He's like, I never get nervous. Like, fuck, I never have that. I never get, and I was just like,
no.
Someone check on Thomas. The man is hiding something.
Let me make something very clear. I think he's hiding something. The question is he hiding 100 things
exactly.
or one big thing? Like, what is it? Is it 1,000 tiny things or is it one very large thing? Well, he would not. And then, when he would not answer the damn question. And then all of a sudden he throws around like, he threw around like kind of this love vibe. Like he's like, oh, I'm just feeling a certain way. And like,
I don't want to say any, he said, I don't want to say a certain word.
Don't want to say a certain word. And then he just, all of a sudden is kind of just like, also like, where do we live? Like we could buy a house anywhere. And
that was the most cringiest cringe.
Oh,
and
so
she
bad.
goes, to be determined.
I love her so much, but then she fell for it.
Did she?
The second time, I think Thomas makes her little heart race and I don't blame her. He is so pretty. Like he is so attractive.
Don't you aspire to have like as few wrinkles as him? Like the man's face is like flawlessly glowing and just smooth.
I am like 1,000% convinced, and this is no shade because I'm calling Thomas's doctor. Please, Thomas, DM me. I'm very convinced that the man has Botox because if
and
not,
it is working for him.
And it is working, and I want to find out who his doctor is ASAP because my doctor is shit in comparison.
You don't see a pore in his goddamn
Not
face.
a pore.
Either.
We need his doctor. We need his skincare routine.
His
Thomas, you
esthetician?
might be the villain. I need everything that you do, my guy. Like he probably eats super healthy too.
Watch him pop on his
So-
story. Hey guys, you guys have been asking about my routine a lot.
I'm like, we actually have been. This we actually been asking for.
I use a 2-week unwashed washcloth first, about once every other day.
Or he just has like the combination of everything and also incredible. I mean, he's just beautiful. So I get that like he's one of those guys. What I'm picking up from her is like she knows there's something shady,
But you might as well enjoy the
but
ride.
it's like, but look at him and he's giving me those eyes and like what am I supposed
It's
to
not
do?
like she's like considering him to be her husband or anything.
I don't
like
think
that.
so,
No,
but I
don't
think
so either.
she's Twitter pated around him.
But what was like, what did he, okay, so can you please, I know you know this because you keep up on it. So obviously the guys got all mad when he went back around to talk to her again, interrupted Aaron, not the man to interrupt.
I literally wrote wrong person to interrupt my guy.
Aaron is not the man who's
And on top of everything, he's literally talking about his father's stroke, and he's talking about something really intense.
I know,
They're
but
not
they
even
can
having
never
a top
know.
level.
They can never know when
No,
they're
I know, but I'm
interrupting.
saying literally of all the times that he's interrupting
Yeah.
is like this specific moment where Aaron's having a really hard conversation. Aaron's finally sharing something about himself and not someone else's stuff that poor guys are already always having to force to be talking about the other guys. He's finally having a moment about himself, and Thomas is pacing back and forth like a dog in a cage.
And Aaron's all,
yeah.
lost my train of thought. Like I got off track. So funny.
It's so good. It's so good.
All right, you need to clarify for me because, like I said, wasn't paying attention close enough. What did he say? He was falling in love with her? Did he not? He didn't, right?
not.
Okay, that's what I thought.
He
Then I was
did
like, did I
not.
miss something? Okay.
He did not. And now this is part of the reason why the guys lost their shit because
Yeah.
the man is getting caught in a million lies.
Yes.
Thomas, the man of a million lies and red flags. He said to Katie a bunch of meaningless words, but what he was saying is he's like, fear and love are the same. Without love, you cannot have fear. And without fear, you cannot have love.
My God.
And then he's like, he said, and I'm feeling fear for the first time in a long time.
That is
So
the most
that's-
roundabout bullshit. That's so stupid.
I wrote meaningless words in all caps. I was like, I don't even understand. I thought he was actually going to come back in your
naivete.
In my naivete, I believed he was going to come back and actually answer the question because he was so nervous in the ITMs. I was like, he's going to come back and he's going to give her a little bit of a nugget of one of his red. He's going to hand her one red flag. And but no, he instead did like a fear love switch off and then tried to like bewitch her and then they made out.
That's so funny.
And then this man has the audacity to come back to the group and legitimately tell Aaron his time is worth more. That was some wild shit. I could not believe that is
That was hilarious to me. Aaron goes, so my time is more important, or your time is more important? And Thomas is like, yes.
Just direct. I don't think we have ever seen in the history of this show someone, because they always fucking say that. Your time is more valuable? And they're always like, well, no. We have never seen someone go, yes, 100% my time is more valuable. And
my God. Justin's face when he said that he told her he was falling in love with her. Oh my God. That was hilarious. Aaron said he was disgusted. Connor said it was making a mockery of love.
It was incredible. Also, not only did Thomas say that his time is worth more than Aaron's, he then also said to Aaron, sorry, after he said he's falling in love with Katie and the guys were giving him a hard time, he goes, sorry, it's not something you're ever going to understand. The audacity on this man. I have never in my life.
I'm kind of here for it. And then Aaron, the line of the night, says that he's a cancer and they must cut out every piece of it until he's gone. I'm like, oh my God, that's violent.
Aaron, there are so many things that Aaron says that are so extreme. He's meant for reality TV. The lines are so extreme that you're like,
who does he remind me of? He reminds me of some character. Like, I bet he is just going to be king of the beach indirectly,
if they don't have him on the beach, they are really
doing us a damn shame. He reminds me like a little bit of Blake without like the fuck up part. Like,
yes,
kind of that energy where like everyone's probably going to be coming to Aaron about their problems.
Yes, I feel, they're going to have Aaron and Thomas on the beach.
Aaron's so pure to me. Like, and Blake's kind of pure to me in that way too.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're saying wild things and fucked up things, but like, you're transparent as fuck, my guy. Like we're seeing you.
I can't help but like Aaron. I can't help but like him. I feel like a lot of people are not going to be a fan.
There's no reason to distrust him though. That's why I like him.
One of my favorite things ever, and that's when I texted you and I said, I think I'm in love with Aaron, is when Katie called his name last week about the Karl situation and his face was just and then she pulled him. He's like, I can't think of anything. All these guys they're great guys. I loved him so much.
That's the kind of thing for some reason that gives me like Blake energy, where he's just thought like
and then throughout this, then when he's talking to the men, the remainder of this episode, where he's always just like, oh man, Thomas is smart. He's very smart. Karl, he made a lot of mistakes, but Thomas, I got to give him credit. The man's smart. He's a cancer.
It's not Blake. Who does he remind me of? God. And for a second when he said he's a cancer, I literally thought he was talking about astrology signs.
I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron threw out an astrology sign either, honestly. Reference. Honestly, I really wouldn't.
It's like so fucking Gemini of him. He's all pissed.
The good news is that Thomas did not get the date rose, because Katie she knows. She gave it to Connor B.
Yeah,
who was very transparent.
Did seem to deserve it. This is just going to be a struggle though, because you can tell that the sexual stuff is not. Not working.
When
right
he
now.
kissed her, she pulled back again quickly.
Very
Same as
quickly.
last episode.
I know.
So it's almost one of those things where she's
just
not
wishing.
Yeah,
she's
probably trying.
It's wishful thinking.
It's like, I'm hoping that I like him a lot, and I'm hoping that the sexual chemistry gets there for me.
Oh, been there.
Yeah, same. That's painful.
You know what? And it could, with a little kissing lessons, I feel like things could be really good for them.
Sure.
Because he's got what it takes.
And honest to God, Connor, he surprises me. He surprises me every week. Honestly, even the fashion. I don't know who this guy is. He all of a sudden pulls out in the confession circle, he's wearing like a Cuban deep V shirt with chains tucked in tight to some pants, and then the next one he's wearing like a pea coat with 4 chains. I'm so confused by who he is, and I love it. It's like he shows up as a cat. You find out he's got a past. He's a really nice guy. Unsure about the fashion, but it's actually there's some good pieces, but then they're not paired perfect. I don't know. He's a fascinating man.
I don't think he knows what he's going for either in terms of the fashion department.
But he's trying, and I appreciate that.
He's always trying. He's the guy. He's a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
As they say.
And
that's probably the speech he gives to his class each year. He's like, I want you guys to be lifelong learners.
I want you to teach me.
I want you to love curiosity. And always be learning. Learning isn't just done in a classroom. Life is learning.
Do you think day one he comes in? He's never done this before, but now that he's famous from the show, do you think first day of class he comes in a cat suit? And he's like, let's be curious like a bunch of cats. I feel like
No.
Connor's the type of guy who shows up in a cat suit.
No, I think he has a fake rose with a note on every person's desk, you know, with like a little chocolate or something, so
Much
they like
better.
him.
Much better.
You know,
much better.
you'd be like, I hope this class gets your rose this year or something. Not
yes.
creepy, just you
Not
know, like
creepy,
a reference.
but a sweet, please like me.
Yeah.
Okay. Next we have date with Michael. Which
Okay.
at this point we had already seen the discussion between him and Mike and Andrew M, where he talked about his wife.
I thought Michael was going home on this date.
Really?
In the beginning. I was like, the chemistry is not going to be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be awkward. This is going to be a one-on-one. He's going home.
He seemed very nervous about the car situation, which also we saw Katie violently flip it. So I was also nervous. And I was like, let's not take the single dad from the house and put him in a dangerous date situation. I'm like, let's just give the man a cheese board and some wine. Can we not do this with him?
Well, and honestly,
parent?
that's where the rubber really met the road, is in that evening portion of the date where he opened up about just devastating.
Michael is maybe one of the purest people, if not the purest person we've ever seen on this show.
Purer than Aaron?
Purer than Aaron. Somehow purer than Aaron. So Michael ends up sharing. So we know that he has a son and that he's a single dad. And he ends up telling a story about his past. And he talks about how he tells Katie that he met his wife. The first day he saw her on campus. And that he right away knew like he was going to be like in love with her. And then they were together for 16 years. They got married in 2012. And then in 2016, they had
You got these dates on lock.
No, you know why? The exact same dates as Evan and I. So when he was saying it, I was like, Evan and I have been together for 16 years. We got married in 2012. Had the little one like a month before 2016. Our kid is the same age. Like, and so when he was sharing it, it was like, oh, he was with her as long as I've been with Evan. So it was like making me like, oh man, it like just the idea of that long of a connection with somebody.
Bro, she died in 2019. That shit is fresh.
Yeah. So basically his wife ended up getting cancer 7 months after their son was born. And that was, 2016 to 2019, like he was talking about they were going all over the country. He talks about how she was an amazing advocate. And they were just trying to find a cure, and eventually she passed away. And losing a spouse, losing a partner, going through that many years of trying to like find a cure, and probably so many visits where they felt like they had hope and there was like a moment that it was good, and that, let alone then being like, I have my son and I'm left. I can't wrap my brain around it. And the fact that he called her his wife the entire time, and he was just, I was legit sobbing. And then when they had this conversation about, and he's such an amazing human being, when he had the conversation, then talking to Katie about how, like, Katie then said to him, like, just so you know, like, I think a lot of people would be intimidated because of the love that you still have for your wife, of course. And then how he's like, it's my responsibility to make sure that you know our relationship is unique. And I'm like, this man, whoever this man ends up with, is so, like, he has been through so much and yet is still, like, I don't know. He's an incredible person. Incredible person. When he said, what a gift to be able to fall in love twice, I was like bawling. And then seeing Katie afterwards in that interview, she was like crying, and she's like, this could be the beginning of like forever for me. Like, I could see myself with Michael for forever. And I'm like, oh my God.
I didn't see that. I felt like, I mean, like, and she said that, and I was like,
do you think it's just there's so much powerful emotion and he is so wonderful?
I think that. I also feel like she's crying because, like, I think she knows that, like, he might be a little bit more into her than she is into him. You know that feeling where you're like, this person is deserving of, like, all the love and, like, I want this to work. Like, I really want this to work. But I don't know why. I just get the sense that, like, she's like, it's just, like, not... like she like knows he's not the one, but she like wants him to find someone who's like the one for him.
Would just be so... He's such a beautiful human being, and everything that he's already gone through, I would be so scared that I'd be like, I don't know if it's better for me to, like, if I'm not already head over heels for you, if it's better for me to send you home now, or if it's better for me to continue to get to know you. I would feel so stressed out about that.
I feel like both with Connor B and with him, I feel like there's like a lot of wishful thinking going on.
Yeah.
I feel like she's not super attracted to either of them.
But she really likes both
yeah,
of them
she like
a lot.
really wants to be super, super attracted to both of them.
If and when Michael goes home, that is going to be devastating. But the thing is too, when he talked about it, which I love that he talked about that he's like, it was hard to leave, but like I needed to do this for myself. Like I needed to have some enjoyable time. And that was the other part that sent me like full sobbing, because I was like, the amount of devastation and trauma this man has been experienced the past few years. And we're not even just talking 2019, all the way from 2016, like when his wife was first diagnosed. Like this has been so many years of like trauma and pain. And it's like, my son needs to see me happy. Like, so it's almost like maybe even just this experience for him, like getting out there, like spending time with some of the guys and like getting away from like the normal, removing yourself from your typical surroundings, I'm sure is.
I don't think he's going to walk away from the experience like with any regret. And I think that that's probably, and I don't even know if honestly like Kate, I think that, you know, I get the vibe from both of them. Like, I think he wants Katie to like, I think that he wants it to like work with them too. I don't even know if he's actually super into her, but I would be willing to bet that the whole experience is probably really healing for him in terms of like a new chapter, stepping out, trying something new, trying something different. Like you said, getting all this guy time. Well, not traveling. I was about to say traveling, but just time for the time
getting
that's
away
just for
from
him.
the four walls that he's probably in his home all the time, and like who knows if like memories and all those things, just to be able to.
Well, I think it's probably just like a big move for him as just this. I'm sure that the last. It's literally 2 years. The last like 2 years, but even before that, since his wife had cancer for like almost 5 or. Okay, you know what I'm saying. His wife had cancer for like the 2 years, then she's been gone for 2 years. Like all that time has been devoted to other people. It's been devoted to her, been devoted to his son. And so I imagine that this feels so cool for him to be like, this is just for me.
Yeah,
like,
this is Michael time.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
Michael
sure that
time.
that's really
and
cool.
regardless of what happens with him and Katie, now it's like, can you imagine the amount of...
It's going to give you confidence, excitement.
There's going to be so many people who are going to be like, chasing you. Like, oh my God, this man, like we'll talk about a catch. Like, you know.
Don't hurt him.
I will find you.
Yeah, Jess is going to find you.
And I will destroy you. But yeah, he's just...
So I'm curious for you, was it the way that he was talking, but why was it that and I completely agree with you, but you know how I always say like someone's tragedy doesn't make them a good person? Why for you? I want to hear in your words, why do you feel like this story and him, why you feel like he's such a good person? I agree with you, for the record, but I want to hear you explain it.
It's very hard to explain energy.
Yeah.
It's very hard to explain. I've also, Michael from the very first episode.
Just the psychic. Well, it's very difficult to explain when the spirit is moving.
When the other side is communicating with you, sometimes it is hard to verbalize it exactly. You wouldn't understand.
No, I completely agree. I was wondering if you had anything concrete. I feel the same way.
No, it's just especially by the way from episode 1. Starting episode 1, it was like, I mean, could you be a more...
He's just a sweetie.
He just is who he is.
Yeah.
Day 1, he's a sweetie. You get no games from this guy. He's just big smile the whole time. I mean, and then of all people, if I'd be like, who's the joyful one? And in fact, I'd be like, who's the joyful one in the house? I'd be like, it's Michael. He's always got the big smile and he's always like, oh, guys, like he's just pure. And then of all people to find out that
totally. This guy is a sweetheart who cares about other people. That's only the cherry on top to be like, look at how he's persevered. Yes, Michael.
And of all things, and you go, this guy has been through all that and is still this beautiful light of a human being and has used that and is saying, what a gift to fall in love twice. I believe him. I believe him. Oh my God.
I do.
I was a mess.
No, actually, I think that's a really good way of describing it because it is like, yeah, he had really good energy going into it. And you're like already on Michael's team. You're like, yeah, Michael,
I was literally,
get out there.
For first week, you and I both said it was like, is Michael our type? No. But like, is he a precious human being that we want to protect from night 1? 1,000%.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just is direct. He's kind. Like he's just he just feels like the essence of kind to me. And hearing everything and
beautiful.
I feel like he's the type of guy that when Katie probably will send him home, she will feel so bad and he will be squeezing her hand.
He's going to be comforting her.
And he's going to be like, it's okay. Like, totally. I'm so grateful to have had this time with you now. And like, thank you. And you're going to be like, fucking Michael.
Yeah, he's going to be like, these are memories I'm going to cherish forever.
And he's going to,
because they were made with you.
And he's going to mean every word of it.
Yeah. No. He's a great guy.
Oh, all right. So
don't need him around making me look bad. I wouldn't want to be his partner. I'd be like, you are just gonna make me look like Satan herself every time I'm around you.
Like I need someone to make me look good. I need a little Thomas in my life to be like, wow. I needed someone who all my girlfriends are like, I don't know if this is a good call. Be like, I know I deserve.
But
so
I look
much
like an
more.
honest angel. Okay, speaking of the devil, let's talk about Thomas.
Let's talk about being back at the house. Okay, Aaron is throwing around the word sociopath, manipulator. Like, I mean, he is dialed into Bachelor Nation. We love a good throw around with those words. It's not a season if that word isn't thrown around by somebody.
Yeah, and now they're doing that whole thing where it's like, but he didn't tell them that he said in love. He said that he did. They're like starting to cross stories and be like, he's not saying the truth to everyone.
And what we didn't talk about was, again, okay, reason, 300 now that I am a fan of Thomas. Actually, it was more like reason 2 or 3. Confirmation. When Thomas pulled Hunter aside alone. So everyone's talking shit about Thomas, and Hunter had a nice little bonfire, midway through the episode outside with Thomas and was like, hey, you're coming off kind of deceitful. And Hunter's and Aaron's like, well, I don't even really care what other people think about me. And he goes, understood. That's not a great look.
Wait, you mean Thomas?
Or yeah, gosh, I keep mixing up their names.
Got it.
So Aaron says, I don't really care what anybody else thinks. And then Hunter says, yeah, but that whole I don't give a shit attitude, it's not going to serve you well. So you should probably listen to everybody. And he was giving Thomas really good advice. But he was also, it was a beautiful combination. Hunter, we stan. Hunter was calling him out while simultaneously being there for him. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good friend.
That's a good friend. He was literally,
Hunter has good friend vibes.
He wasn't letting him, he wasn't like, oh, I see what you mean. He was like, maybe you should try this. This isn't going to make you look good. And Thomas, you could tell, was like, okay. And really took in what Hunter was saying. And we really know that he was taking in what Hunter was saying when Hunter decided to publicly confront Thomas, and he said he was hurt. And Thomas said, I would never hurt you.
Once again,
Hunter and Thomas crack me up together.
Once again, this whole, though, like, unit. I mean, I feel like all the men assembled purposely for this showdown.
Yes.
This conversation between Hunter and Thomas. They were gathered around as if Chris Harrison was about to walk in.
Oh, absolutely.
I was confused.
They all sit down in dead silence. And
they
then
do this of their own accord.
And then the Connor guy is just like, doo, doo, doo. Did you notice him? So they all sit down and Thomas is sitting, and then Thomas walks in and Hunter's sitting like this and he's just like, dead silence. And Connor's sitting next to Hunter and just looks at the camera, is like, doo, doo, doo. In dead silence. It was everything. I need to screen record that. But
oh my God.
Then yes, you're right. Without anyone telling them, they on their own accord, they assemble.
Well, so this is where I was saying, like I said earlier, I think that they were chopping up Thomas's answers. I really do believe, because they were just so absurd. And then like when Hunter asked him directly, like, but did you want to be the Bachelor? But did you consider being the Bachelor? Whatever. Maybe he skirted around a little bit. I don't know. Something in me told me like that I do not. It was the spirit moving. I said, I don't think that this was exactly the answer he gave.
In the name of the Lord, I believe this is not.
I rebuke this. I do not believe that this is the exact answer he gave for this exact question. You know? Just felt a little bit shady to me. And then eventually he did admit that he had being the Bachelor on his mind. I did notice that Greg, his head was in his hands, and I made a meme about it because Greg was just like, oh God, can't believe that this guy would think about wanting to be the Bachelor. That's just disgusting.
I'm the next Bachelor. How dare he? I mean, and it's an honest answer, but it's just the way everyone can tell. People, they're not stupid. We can all pick up on the shady vibes. Like, you know, and he's just giving them fodder for more problems by being like, yes, I definitely thought about wanting to be the Bachelor.
Well, and that's where I thought that was kind of ridiculous. Like, some of the guys were just like, oh my God. Like, that is disgusting. That's disgusting. I'm repulsed.
Yeah, it's just like, what? You have everybody's thought about it. Everybody's thought about it.
If you were pressed, wouldn't you be like, yes, that was something that crossed my mind? Shut the fuck up.
If I'm going on the show, maybe I'm not going on with the intention of becoming the next Bachelorette, but it's something I've thought about. Right? I'd be like, wouldn't it be crazy if me became the next Bachelorette? You know, you've talked about it with your friends and family. Everybody has.
I'm just saying they better have some concrete information before they go ratting to Katie instead of being like, he wanted to be the Bachelor.
I literally said, I pray to the Lord that Hunter isn't the one who tells Katie unless she asks. I'm hoping it's Aaron. I hope Aaron goes and tells Katie.
Yeah, at this point, he's already set a precedent for himself,
because I want
right?
Hunter to remain out of it. Like, he will be the one in the house who is mediating. He's talking to Thomas. He's addressing the situation. Thomas is devastated that he feels like he let Hunter down. Hunter feels manipulated, but I pray that Hunter is not the one who brings it to Katie unless she asks, because
with peace and love.
Because I just love Hunter so much, and I just don't even want him to get in that mess.
You don't need to taint that.
And I don't think he's going to, because at the end of the episode, he was saying, and he had his head in his hands, and he was like, I'm just so nervous that now this is going to send Katie over the edge if she finds out, like, there's actually another guy who's here for the wrong reasons, and there's already been so much drama. He's like, there's already been at least 3 guys who've been fucking with her. So I'm scared that if she finds this out, she's just going to walk away. So I'm like, I don't think Hunter's going to be the one to say something.
Aaron just may.
I don't think Aaron will be able to control himself.
He's got tea to spill.
Aaron is just going to be like, listen, he's just such the guy who like she's sitting on the couch. Aaron just has the energy where he'll come and sit next to her and just be like, I'm so fucking over this, Katie. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm here for you, but like, dude. Like, he definitely calls Katie dude. That's
dude,
Aaron.
I think he's done it before, where he was like all upset. And he was just like, dude,
I can't even like, why is this happening again? Like, he's,
you keep the man around for the tea, for the intel information.
Of course. So we'll see what happens next week.
That's redundant.
We obviously, from the commercials, we saw that we have more Thomas drama, but the most important part about the commercials is that we know that next week Blake is here. Oh my God. I am so
Next week.
happy.
Wow.
I am so happy that Blake is finally here. And Tayshia is sitting down with Katie saying, someone from my past contacted me, which I didn't even think about. When Tayshia broke up with Blake was like a mess. And now they're going to be seeing each other for the first time and he's getting on Katie's season.
Drums. Can't wait.
I cannot wait. Blake, I am waiting for you. Come. You know what's going to happen is the second Thomas gets kicked out, Blake's going to show up and he will be now the center of the drama because everyone is going to be threatened that Blake is there, of course.
Can't wait. That's going to be so good. That's going to add so juicy. I really do think this is going to get juicier and juicier.
I feel like Blake is going to be so great with confrontive energy. I feel like he's going to remain calm the whole time. I feel like they're going to be freaking out. And I feel like we're going to actually, maybe some of the men will be exposed by the way that they treat our Blake. I do so believe.
I like that.
Well, broads, that's it for this week. Make sure to check out the Bros recap on Friday, and on Thursday, check out our episode where we're going to be talking about wedding do's and don'ts.
Yay, fun.
It's going to be a good old time. So we'll chat soon.
Chat soon.